it's time to do the assembling, and I'm gonna start with the power supply, and then I'm gonna work my way backwards until the machine is completely assembled. I'll be pretty detailed, I guess. So this shield just slides in, and then I'm gonna turn this around. You have this nasty big area of thermal paste, and yeah, I think I'm gonna add some new thermal paste to that. So one of the most difficult tasks when assembling back an old machine and you don't have like a service manual or anything is to remember where the screws go, and if you don't have a system and you have mixed up all the screws, then you are in trouble. Just adding a little bit of thermal paste, since I have a couple of leftovers here. So 3 short screws in the back and long screws in the front. Then we have this power switch and connector module and the fuse. So this one should have the different wires under this cover, and yeah, like that. This cover should go on first, then the screw comes and holds it to the board. Not the board, the metal case. That was not the magnetic one. The final screw goes here. Alright, that was the easy part actually. Now let's get the tough part. And the tough part is of course the CRT. Oh my god. So this is a complete mess, but I think I'll figure it out. Something like this, and then you have all these connectors that need to go back into its place, and some additional stuff here. Also have this metal shield, and here's all the screws. So it has a couple of brackets and a lot of different screws, but yeah, we'll see. So let's do this. I think the first part would be to secure the PCB to this metal frame. There's 4 or 5 screws. I have 4 here with this little bracket that should go here. And there's one here, and it has a ground connection, so important to remember that. Then one over here. So now I remember I did this wrong. There's actually not the way to do it. Of course, this frame here has to go in. And it is supposed to be screwed on with those screws and those holes. But before I do that, I'm gonna connect all the different contacts. Alright, so connecting up these contacts is very important to get right, because yeah, there are 3 different 3-pin connectors, and you have to connect the correct contacts, of course. And I start with this ground wire that goes from the CRT down to this ground pin on the board. This gray wire with the black and white supposed to be in this connector, and you see it's marked with an M, and there is an M on the PCB also. I just realized that now. And over here it says D, and there's a D there. And these connectors are coded, so it's impossible to insert it the wrong way. This big connector goes into the only one that it can fit, down under here. Down by this transformer there is a connector, and it says Y, and here is Y. Then we have this high voltage cable that goes to the CRT, and it's just a matter of getting these hooks inside the screen. So I'm gonna use this screwdriver to help me with that. There you go. So that was the connectors that go to the main PCB. I'm not really sure if there are any. I can't see anyone. The rest of the cables here should go to this smaller PCB that's on this side. So there's the ground cable that goes down through there. Now this speaker can be secured, but there's also a screw down here, so I'm gonna get that one in first. The speaker is secured by these two small screws with a round head, so I turned it around, and now it's this bracket. It goes here that holds this module here. Now the CRT can be secured to the frame with two screws there. This metal here, this bracket should be you should slide it into the CRT like that. Before I continue, I'm gonna assemble this shield, metal shield that goes around like this. It was a bit rusty, but I have taken care of that with some, I used the fiberglass pen and some, a little bit of a WD-40. There's these two straight screws that goes into this shield. Then on the back side you have these cable ties that has screws in them. So there's this screw inside this cable tie, and yeah, these go here and there. And just tighten these cable ties. Alright, so we're pretty close to finishing up this CRT, and hope it's not too boring. Now it's time to attach these little extra PCB for the screen, and it has a lot of contacts. Luckily they are all marked with letters, so this is Q, so and here's Q. 4 screws. So let's see what we got here. It's a little mess, but yeah, we'll figure it out. That was all the contacts, and I'm just double checking that I didn't miss anything. So I think everything's good, so let's secure this board. Alright, that was the CRT monitor fully assembled and recapped and cleaned and everything. So now it's time to start assembling the whole machine and use the actual frame for it, but I was thinking maybe it's best to try and connect everything and test it before I assemble it, in case something is wrong, that I don't have to unscrew the whole machine again to find out what's wrong. So I have hooked up everything and connected the power, so now it'll be interesting to test if it actually turns on and doesn't blow up. So I didn't hook up the control ports and the external audio and things like that, but everything else should be okay, and the floppy drive as well, it's over here, so I'm gonna test that one too. So let's see. It actually works fantastic. Nice. So I have hooked up the keyboard, and it's a little dodgy arrangement here, but I was wanting to test the floppy drive as well, and actually it doesn't stop spinning. So you see the drive light is on constantly and it does not stop spinning, so that's not good. And it just says device not present error. So that's actually how it was before I started working on this machine. So this is actually a second SX-64 I got, and it is in a bit of a dodgy state because there's been done a lot of mods to it. The top cover was actually loose and the screws are missing, and the power supply is also loose, and it actually got a RF modulator installed here. However, this RF modulator is not connected because there are some loose wires. So my plan was actually to use the floppy board from this machine if it works. However, this too has some mod. I don't think I have seen this before. There's some kind of ROM chip that is soldered onto the existing one, and there's also some wires that are on the back side that goes to the user port, so that's a bit strange. And there's also a few loose wires. I took out this floppy board and at least I can use some of the parts like the CPU and the 6434 and the 6522 chip. There are two of those, so I can try and mix and match a little bit and see if I get the other machine working. So I figured if I'm gonna test this machine properly without assembling it, I need to remove the keyboard cable or this contact, because I can't drag this whole case with me. So I have connected up the drive again and then the keyboard, and now it just says searching for $1 when I try to access drive 8. The first thing I'm gonna check is the 6502, so I am taking this out of the other machine and see if that helps. Now I got you. So this is another brand of a 6502 than the Moss brand, SYU 6502. Well, let's see what we got now. Nope, same issue. I have pulled out the 3 of the other chips, the two 6522 chips and this one. It is 325570201. Now I'm checking the next chip, the 6522 over here. So continuing, I'm testing the other 6522 and I'm using a little electric cleaner into the socket first. So this might seem that the boards are perhaps in risk of touching each other and shorting something, but I have a cloth between, so should be fairly safe. Let's test. So it spins and then it stops. Good sign. Load $8. Oh, no, it's actually working. Searching for $. Nice. So that's definitely an improvement, because it actually starts spinning, but then it just won't continue. So the drive lights comes on and off, but so it seems like it's trying to load, but I'll wait a little bit more. But I don't think the read-write head is actually moving, so let me try one more time. Let's see what happens. Alright, it's searching. Loading, ready. So it actually loaded the directory now. Let's see. List. So what I did, I actually moved the read-write head a little bit back and forth, and then I moved it all the way back, and then I issued the load command, and then it loaded. So yeah, nice. Let me try a little bit more complex task. This should contain a game, and I'm loading Exploding Fist. Alright, so that's loaded completely, and run. Hey! Nice, it actually worked. The sound is not the best from this little speaker, but So a little 6522 chip was all that was wrong with the floppy drive, and yeah, that's really good. I like it when the fix is simple. So now it's time to continue the assembling of this machine, which is now in perfect working order. Alright, I better get going with assembling, and the first thing that goes in is the floppy drive. And here I got the screws for the floppy. I'm glad I kept them separate. So 2 on each side. Just gonna raise it up a bit to find the screw hole. On the other side, and that made me realize I had to remove the bottom cover, which I have placed the frame into. And then this compartment box goes onto here. It seems like 2 screws on each side, but in fact there's only 1, and that's because one of these are just a plastic tab that goes into one of the holes. So I just bend it outwards and it clicks into place. Then there's 1 screw on each side. Easy peasy. Too bad I didn't count how many screws there are. Next up is the CRT and the controls for that, and they are hanging loose. So these are the different potentiometers and things like that goes over here. So let me see if I can manage to place this into the case like that. So this wire harness goes over here, and this is supposed to go to the power supply later, but no for these. The screws I already left behind, so I'm gonna unscrew those. So I'm really glad I did that. Alright, let me see if I can make this work. The wiring should be on the right side, so something like this. So that's how it's supposed to be. And the wires are held down to the case with this wire clip here. And there's one in the front here as well. Next up is the plastic front, and I got it here, and I actually noticed a little defect. You see here, it's broken off where the lock for the keyboard is supposed to be held, and on this side it's okay, but I'm gonna fix that later. For now I'm just gonna attach this, and that was just tilting it forward, so now I'm tilting it backwards, and it is held in place by 2 screws on each side. So I just attach it. But now I really have to figure out what kind of screws I need, but I'm looking back at the footage and these are the screws for the front. Other side as well. Alright, next step, I just set down the monitor. I haven't attached it or anything, but now I can attach the underside of the case. And it is supposed to be sliding in with these tabs into the plastic here. So just push it down and then backwards. And now you will see that the underside will stay in place and the holes are aligned with the inner case. Attaching the bottom panel to the case is just one screw down here. At least for now. Then I think the monitor is next, and yeah, I think it's 4 screws, one in each corner. So what screws are those? It must be these 4 screws here. And it's the same screw that holds the case, I mean the bottom plate to the case. Time to set the power supply back in action, and also this little controls PCB, connector PCB it's called. It goes here, and I have wisely enough left the screws in place. You know, I can actually see the recording live on my watch because I use the app Filmic Pro. So now I can place the power supply at the back, but I think I'll leave it for now because it's better to have more room to navigate. But I can connect the power to the monitor, and it's this little brown and black wire, and it is going to this contact over here, and then it is secured under here with this clip. And finally it's time to start populating the PCBs. I have to look back and see how to best start, if I should start with the main board or the floppy drive controller board. I'll start with the floppy controller board back here. So I just slide it underneath all the wires and into the slot. Like that. So I'm just checking that no wires are stuck in between the board and the chassis. So yeah, looks okay. The board is secured with these little black clips. So yeah, you just take them apart like that, and then I try to push through the backside through the hole. A little bit fiddly. There it goes, and then through the PCB, and then the pin, you push it from the other side. There you go. You can do it with just your fingers, and now it's secured. Now the pin in the middle was a little bit tricky because it's very close to this cable tie, and I had to use a little helping tool. Alright, now it's secured. Next, of course, is all the different wires to the board, and This one's from the floppy drive and it is keyed, so only possible to insert one way. This one is the reset switch, external. It says on the board, and yeah, I think it is this. And of course the power connector. It too only goes one direction. It's time to connect the ground to the power supply, and it has this big screw with like this washer underneath. So I can't really film that without blocking the view, but yeah, 2 ground wires goes to the same ground point in the chassis. And then the washer underneath. So if I can manage to pull it over here. All right, more cables. This one goes here. And then of course this floppy connector goes here. So I think that was all the connectors for the floppy controller board, and next up is the main board. So let's see if we can make this fit. Oops. Try not to smash the whole thing. I also need this video cable. Video cable goes here. This goes over here to the monitor. Then we have these plastic nails again. Then this sideboard, yeah, it's this way, and it slides into the motherboard and connects with it with this connector. So let's see, can we make this fit? So that's it. In place. And there's one plastic clip over here, and it will be a little bit hard to put into place. So tight. Try with this one. There it is, and then the little nail on the other side. No, I'll put it on this side, it doesn't matter really. Alrighty, now we can start to populate the other contacts. We have this blue one, goes over here, there, and then this was the keyboard obviously, and it goes here. And of course the power supply to the main board. And then this wide connector for the user port. Finally, the two serial connectors from the CIA board. One goes to the floppy, internal floppy controller, and one goes to the external floppy connector. And I'm guessing that the internal one is the first, and the External one is the second. I think I had it like that when I tested before. And judging by the length of the cables too, they are supposed to be like this. So, and I can't move this further down because I have connected this reset cable here, and it goes around this card, which makes it too short. So that was obviously not a good idea, and now I have to take off some of this stuff to get it past here. And yeah, that's how it is sometimes. You make mistakes all the time. Now I just loosen this little plastic clip, and then I can get this little wire past here. So then it's free, and I can just attach the clip again. So now this can reach, and I can connect the two serial connectors. Before I continue, I just want to test that I have connected everything correctly and that the machine works, and yeah, seems to work fine. Monitor working, reads from a floppy drive. The final piece that goes into this machine is the expansion port and or cartridge port, and yeah, it goes in like this through the large hole there, and then connected to the CIA board. The connector is over there. So let me see if I can get this contact in. It is a little bit tight. That's it, and then I put the keyboard connector back because I had to remove it. And then we have the bracket for the expansion port, and it has these two tabs sticking out that goes into the upper holes, and then down to the case. And then we have these two black screws, and then there I lost one down in the machine. Finally I can attach the power supply, and yeah, it's just a matter of placing it there. And there are these 4 screws, so start by the 2 lower screws. Then we have 3 screws on each side that secures the cover to the frame. So we're getting closer to the end now, and no, actually the top cover can go in, but before that I have to place these fastenings for the handle. These are pretty worn out, as you can see. The grooves in the plastics, at least 1 millimeter on this one. So there's 2 tabs on the back side, and these should go into the holes here, and these 2 screw holes should be aligned with these holes in the case. Now the top cover comes down, and I just push it forward so that the screw holes align. Two screws on each. So these hinges for the handlebar I have cleaned with some yeah, what you call it, degreasing stuff that removes the old grease. And now I'm gonna put a little bit of machine oil onto them, just a little drop. And then I'll try to get this handlebar. So I think they went in correctly, and you can lock the handlebar hinge with this one, and yeah. Alright, now it's locked, so this side works. Then the feet goes in. Finally, the side covers. And I almost forgot the little knobs for the potentiometers. And look, no more screws.